Can taking a cold shower actually boost your testosterone levels? Well, this is a question to which you'll get a completely different answer depending on who you ask, alright? I've read articles that have written off cold shower benefits as complete bullshit. I've read articles that say that taking a cold shower can give you damn near superpowers. But in this video, I'm gonna tell you the evidence-based truth, alright? And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that the days that I start with a cold shower always go more productive than the days that I don't, alright? But as I said, I'm gonna go over the evidence-based truth because I'm pretty sure you're not interested in my opinion, or maybe you are, who knows? So with that being said, let's dive in. So cold showers might be all the rage these days, but the truth is that cold water therapy has been used and recorded since the times of the ancient Greeks, ancient Egyptians, and ancient Romans as well, alright? In fact, Hippocrates, who is considered the father of modern medicine, regularly prescribed bathing in cold spring water as a treatment for a variety of different conditions, alright? Furthermore, the ancient Spartan warriors used to submerge in ice cold water as a means to boost their vitality and mental toughness. And the Native American Indians used to put their actually little babies into the cold waters of the Chesapeake Bay or some shit. I don't remember the exact name of what river they used to put them in, but yeah, they used to take their little babies and put them into cold ass water. And once I remember there was an anecdote about a guy saying that he came across this situation when the mother was actually putting the kid in the water, and then when he asked her, he's like, why are you doing it? She told him that I am making my baby brave, alright? So these Indians were definitely in touch with the benefits that cold water immersion has, alright? So yeah, cold water therapy has been used since the ancient times, but with the invention of plumbing and water heating, it eventually began to fade away, alright? And by the 19th century, it had basically become a lost art. Until there was this Austrian peasant, alright, who resurfaced what we today know as hydrotherapy. So this Austrian peasant, his name was Vinces Perez. Sorry, I don't remember how to pronounce his name properly, but basically Vincent, let's just call him Vincent, even though I know that's not his name. He broke his ribs, alright? I don't know, he fell off the roof or some shit and he broke his ribs. So when he went to the doctor told him that he'll never be able to walk again and that his injury is going to be a lifelong thing. Refusing to accept this diagnosis, he went on to operate on himself, and he applied a variety of wet bandages and used water overall in the treatment to heal his ribs. And eventually he made a full recovery, alright? And this gave him confidence, and then he began helping others. And soon enough, as word got out, there were lines of people lining up outside his father's farmhouse. And eventually he just turned that into a spa and water therapy treatment center as well, alright? So yeah, cold water exposure is nothing new. It's been used since the ancient times, and it has only recently begun making waves in biohacking and peak performance communities because of the plethora, yes, I'm using big words, plethora of scientific evidence that has come out supporting its benefits, alright? And let's dive into the benefits now. So the benefit that you are most interested in is whether taking a cold shower can actually boost your testosterone levels or not. Well, in the articles that I've read online that say that taking a cold shower can boost your testosterone, the evidence that's used to support it actually is not that solid. What it says is that the testicles perform better in lower temperatures, and men tend to produce more sperm during the winter temperatures. So that means that taking a cold shower will boost your testosterone as well. That is not a direct relationship that we can direct from that. But that being said, there are currently no scientific studies that support the fact that taking a cold shower can boost your testosterone levels, alright? That being said, it's important to understand that a lot of the scientific research is actually driven by financial incentive, alright? So cold water is cheap, cold water is not owned by anyone, no one owns the rights to it. So that leads to the fact that not many big companies or someone who would actually sponsor, like, there's no financial incentive in sponsoring a study that would show cold showering to increase testosterone levels, all right? Because there's no money to be made. So the fact that there's no evidence showing that cold showers increase testosterone does not mean that they're not important, all right? And this is where anecdotal evidence becomes very important, and I'm pretty sure that you just do a simple search on cold shower benefits or something like that, you'll find a lot of people writing about how taking cold showers changed their life, all right? And I am definitely one of those people. But another caveat is that cold water exposure or cold water therapy or cold therapy, I would say, cold therapy includes all types of cold exposure. So that would include cryotherapy, where you go into a chamber and are exposed to temperatures below, I think, below freezing temperatures. And then there's ice baths, and then there is ice baths and cryotherapy are the two I can think of right now. And what it really comes down to is the temperature of the cold therapy and how long you spend under it, all right? So I'll go over some studies that reveal the vast benefits that come with cold exposure, but I want you to keep in mind that it's not necessary that these exact same benefits will carry over to cold showers as well, because likely if you do start taking a cold shower, then you'll take it for 5 minutes, and depending on where you are in the world, the temperature might be not so cold, might be very cold. So keep those points in mind, all right? But at the end, I'll tell you one benefit that I've experienced, and even if all the other benefits are not true, this one benefit will make them worth it for you, all right? So that being said, let's dive into the scientific studies about cold exposure. So the first benefit of cold water therapy is a drastic improvement in mood, all right? And this effect is so dramatic that researchers are actually studying cold showers as a means to treat depression. And the mechanisms through which this comes into play is basically that when you enter into a cold shower, it spikes your sympathetic nervous system, and that stimulates your fight or flight response, all right? And when this happens, your body releases a massive increase of norepinephrine. And norepinephrine is a hormone that acts as a neurotransmitter, and in your brain it works to enhance your focus, mood, and attention, all right? And in fact, a lot of the antidepressants that are available on the market today work by increasing the norepinephrine uptakers in your brain, because depression can actually lead to lower amounts of norepinephrine, and lower amounts of norepinephrine leads to lower amounts of focus, attention, and a decrease in mood as well. And in one study, they found that when subjects were exposed to 14 degrees Celsius or 54 degrees Fahrenheit of cold water, they experienced a 530% increase in norepinephrine and a 250% increase in dopamine, all right? So both of these hormones slash neurotransmitters work together to significantly make you feel more energetic and ready to take on your new day, all right? And this is, I would say, this is the major reason that anyone who's taken a cold shower before can attest to the feelings of heightened energy that they feel afterwards, all right? So the second benefit of cold water therapy is reduced inflammation. Now, inflammation is a biological process that serves the purpose of recovery and keeping further damage at bay, all right? So for example, when you lift weights, you are causing tiny microcosmic tears in your muscles, and that leads to inflammation, which then leads to stronger and bigger muscles afterwards, all right? But the problem that we face in modern society is that we are not exposing ourselves to enough acute stressors like lifting weights and taking cold showers, and we are basically going through this cycle of psychological stress and thinking about some event in the future or some event in the past that is eliciting negative emotions, and then these negative emotions are leading to the inflammatory response as well. And as a result, a lot of us are suffering from chronic inflammation, all right? And this is when it's not beneficial and it's just reducing the overall function of your body. And again, the thing with cold showers is that, like I mentioned previously, they boost your norepinephrine. And the thing with norepinephrine is that it relates to a decrease in a molecule called TNF alpha. And TNF alpha is a potent inflammatory marker, so lower amounts of it correlate with lower amounts of inflammation, and the lower amounts of chronic inflammation that you have will lead to lower amounts of cortisol, and lower amounts of cortisol will lead to higher amounts of testosterone. All right, so yeah, chronic inflammation is destroying your body, but taking a cold shower is an acute stressor which initiates a cascade of hormonal reactions which result in your body able to function more efficiently and more optimally. Now, the third benefit of cold water exposure is a heightened immune system. All right, now the immune system is a collection of tissues, organs, and cells that work together to protect your body from infectious diseases and infections. All right, now the evidence on this is actually pretty clear, because in one study they actually brought in more than 3,000 participants between the ages of 18 and 64 and had them take a cold shower every single day for about 60 days. And when they compared the people that took a cold shower compared to the people that did not take a cold shower for 60 days, they found that the ones that took a cold shower actually had 29% reduced illness from work. So yeah, that's pretty clear cut. And other studies show that men swimming during the winter months in cold water actually have a 40% reduced incidence of tract infections and stuff like that. So yeah, the evidence on the fact that cold water exposure boosts your immune system is very clear. And the mechanisms through which this happens is because when you expose yourself to the acute stressor that is cold water, then your body increases the amount of white blood cells in your body. And white blood cells are a factor in your immune system, and higher amounts of white blood cells lead to a better management of infections and pathogens and any outside factor that would be affecting your body negatively. All right? And that brings us to the fourth benefit of cold water exposure, and this is probably the one that's talked about the most, but it is an increase of fat loss. So the way that cold exposure can initiate an increase of fat loss is through a process called thermogenesis. All right, and there are two types of thermogenesis. The first type is called shivering thermogenesis. So when you take a cold shower, you immediately, your skin is exposed to this really cold water that is much lower than your core body temperature. So then you begin shivering, begin contracting your muscles, and that leads to heat production by the body. That is what thermogenesis is. All right, as your body tries to produce heat, you are losing calories, using energy, and that boosts your metabolism, and that is the process of shivering thermogenesis. But what's actually more interesting, I don't know why I said it like that, what's actually more interesting than shivering thermogenesis is non-shivering thermogenesis. So where shivering thermogenesis takes place in your muscle contractions, non-shivering thermogenesis takes place in your adipose fat tissue. So non-shivering thermogenesis is a bit of a complicated procedure, but based on my elementary understanding of it, this is how it works. All right, so when you take a cold shower or expose yourself to cold water, like we mentioned previously, it activates a massive increase of norepinephrine, and then norepinephrine increases the expression of something called uncoupling protein. And uncoupling protein basically uncouples the mitochondria in the cells. And mitochondria, if you didn't know, are basically the powerhouses of a cell. So when the mitochondria are coupled, there's basically a connection between the energy, which is the ATP, and the transfer of electrons, which is derived from food. And this basically creates an electrochemical gradient inside the mitochondria, which is negatively charged on the inside and positively charged on the outside. But when the cold water exposure activates the uncoupling protein, then the mitochondria uncouple, and that gets rid of the electrochemical gradient that is established as well. And then in response to this, the mitochondria try to reconnect with the other mitochondria, and in the process they do so by transporting electrons, which are derived from your body fat, which is fat oxidation basically. All right, so the uncoupling also increases metabolism by increasing the amount of mitochondria within the adipose tissue. This causes a browning effect, and it basically converts the white adipose tissue into its more metabolically active brown adipose tissue. And the reason it's called brown adipose tissue is because when it's observed under a microscope,
it actually appears brown. And the reason for this is because the excess amounts of mitochondria within it are making it appear brown, all right? So basically, if you expose yourself to cold water, then it increases the amount of fat oxidation as the mitochondria try to establish an electrochemical gradient, and it increases the brown adipose tissue in your body, which is a metabolically active form of fat because it actually increases your metabolism the more of it you have. Now, you might be wondering if a simple 5-minute cold shower can result in such drastic effects of increasing your brown adipose tissue and boosting your metabolism. And the fact of the matter is that it really depends, all right? It depends on how long you take the cold shower and how cold the water is. In some studies, which I'll link out to below, check out my blog post, it goes over all the studies that I've mentioned in this video. So the studies that saw the best results were of course performed in the subjects that submerged in the cold water for the longest amount of time at the lowest amount of temperature, all right? So whether a 5-minute cold shower that's actually not even that cold, once you compare it to like below freezing and stuff like that, it's not likely that your effects will be so drastic, but it is something to think about because there are studies that find cold water exposure to significantly boost metabolism and fat oxidation and result in a number of benefits which will make your body more efficient in using fat for fuel, all right? But whether the same effects carry over in cold showers or not, that still remains to be seen. It's up to you to make your conclusions based on the studies, but I highly recommend you check out my blog post below, which goes over this in more depth. All right, so the last and final benefit of cold showers, the one I mentioned earlier, that if this was true, which it is, I've experienced it, if this benefit is true, then I don't care if all the benefits are not, and I'd continue taking cold showers because taking a cold shower and starting your day with one significantly boosts your discipline, all right? And the way I see it, look, in the morning when you're trying to wake up and you hear your alarm and there's a part of you that says, yo, just hit the snooze, man, don't worry about it, you can sleep in for 15 more minutes. And then there's a part of you that says, no, man, like, I set the alarm last night according to what time I knew I should wake up, so I should wake up. And that is the moment which makes all the difference, all right? Which voice do you listen to? If you listen to the voice that tells you to snooze the alarm, you are basically listening to the lower part of yourself. And the same thing is true with cold showers, all right? Like, I've been taking them for 3 years now, and I mean, it depends on the day, but sometimes I get in there and I stand there for like 30 seconds thinking whether I should just skip it out and whether I actually have to do this or not. But then the higher self of me tells me that, yo, man, like, based on your past experience, every single day that you take a cold shower always goes better. So what is the reason other than fear for not taking the cold shower? And that is the moment which makes all the difference, man. Which voice do you listen to? And when you do listen to your higher self and turn that knob all the way to cold, you have initially started your day by overcoming that lower part of yourself. And what that does is set the momentum for the day moving forward as well. So for example, later in the day, considering that you started with a cold shower and you know you have to work out, but then the lower part of yourself is like, yo, man, just skip out, have those cookies instead. You're like, no, man, I mean, I already overcame you at the start of my day by taking a cold shower, so I'm more likely to carry on that momentum as well, all right? So if every single benefit that I've talked about is not true, the fact that taking a cold shower has been a significant factor in improving my own self-discipline, that is enough for me. All right, so there you have it, the truth about cold showers and testosterone based on scientific research and personal anecdotal evidence. And if you want to get started with them but are not sure how to go about things, I've listed out a free 30-day challenge, which you can check out in my blog post below as well. And it will help you slowly build your tolerance to cold shower, because it's not like you're gonna fucking, the first time you go in, you're just gonna turn it all the way to cold and you're good like that. I mean, you could if you have the will, but I'm not sure if that's the most healthy way to go about things, all right? For example, you're not gonna go to the first time in the gym and start benching 225, right? You have to build up to it. So the 30-day program that I put together in my blog post will definitely help you build your tolerance slowly to the point where you can actually take them and your body has adapted to them properly, all right? With all that being said, this has been Mo Salim from tripleyourt.com. I hope that this video has provided you with the value and content you are looking for, and more importantly, I hope that you actually take action on this, all right? With that being said, I'll see you soon.